this meeting to order, the very first meeting of 2013. Please stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who don't normally come to school board meetings, I am not the president of the school board, but at the inaugural meeting, I lead the meeting until a new president is chosen. So at this point, we're going to open nominations for president.
Now we know why you're not the president.
Yeah.
That's why we have administrative assistants.
Okay, oath of office.
Oath of office.
If I could please have Larry Holloway, Gary Cook, and Todd Samuelson please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Indiana, the laws of the United States and the State of Indiana, and will you faithfully execute the duties of your office as a member of this governing body, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Also, excited to welcome Gary Cook in his first meeting. Thank you, Gary. So now we are going to take nominations for the board president. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Todd Samuelson.
Second.
Okay, there's been a nomination and a second for the president of the school board 2013 to be Todd Samuelson. Are there any further nominations?
I move the nominations be closed.
I second.
All in favor of closing nominations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, then, all in favor of Todd Samuelson, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Congratulations, Todd.
Bye.
Congratulations.
We can now change seats. Or you want to leave the meeting from over there tonight?
Works for me.
Okay. I'll change that around next time.
Good, I still have to be close to your
Thank you all. Continue with the agenda. The next agenda item is election of board vice president. I'll entertain a motion for vice president.
Nominate Larry Holloway.
Second.
We have a nomination for Larry Holloway. Any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations.
I'll move that we close the nominations.
Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All in favor of Larry Holloway as board vice president, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Larry. Next item is for board secretary. Entertain a motion, entertain a nomination for board secretary.
Nominate Melissa Christensen.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other nominations? Entertain a motion to close nominations.
I'll make the motion to close the nominations. Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now I'll entertain a motion. No, we'll take a vote. All in favor of Melissa Christensen as board secretary, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Congratulations. All right. Next item is the setting of the agenda for the meeting. Mr. Tyree, do we have any additions or corrections?
Nope, your agenda is complete.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion then to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Welcome to the audience here this evening. Are there any agenda items that anyone would like to address this evening? We'll have another chance later on, but if so, okay. We now have the consent agenda, which includes a number of items. As opposed to reading these, are there items, I think there are items we need to take separately.
There are items that we need to take separately. one we can take separately, or several we can take separately, and some I just want to make sure you're aware of before you vote on the consent agenda. We need to select a student services representative. We need to select a legislative liaison. We need to make sure that the dates that we put in for this year's school board meetings are acceptable. We need to entertain a motion to hire Jeff Huyen from the law firm of Easter Day and Hummel as our legal representative. And then certainly want to pull out the fact that two long-term valuable employees have decided to retire, Suzanne Reska and Mary Beth Hunter. And so just wanted to make sure that that was something that we talked about. I suppose the student services, the legislative, and the legal representatives are the ones that we need to pull out. The others would just be whether you want to or not, or if you want to say something.
Well, let's do this. I'll entertain, I think I need a motion to pull some of the items out of the consent agenda. My recommendation would be for the, let's see here, treasurer, legislative liaison, the member to the student services committee, since we need to fill our names there, legal counsel, and I think the retirements. What do you guys think about that?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deal with those particular items individually. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's deal with those individually, then we'll come back to the consent agenda. Dan, the appointment of treasurer?
My recommendation that we would appoint David Tinky as treasurer.
I would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Are you sure?
I think, right? Just the legislative liaison, somebody needs to refresh my memory. I think that was me.
It was you.
The legislative liaison, during the session, the legislative liaison would have a few minutes at each board meeting to update the board on any important legislative concerns that
I
face
don't know if that's a
education.
conflict, but I'd be willing to continue to do that if that is our, I don't think that's a conflict, being a board president. That's up to you guys.
I'll make a motion that Todd is the legislative liaison.
I'll second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. They never do anything anyway, so that'd be easy. The appoint member to the Student Services Committee.
I forget, what does this person do?
There's a couple meetings a year that they go to, and it works with social workers, counselors, nurses. I'm not sure where they would fit into that anymore, but any of the things that we do as a service outside of education, then we have a committee that looks at that each year.
And I apologize, I don't know the answer. Who's on that committee? Was that Frank?
Where have you been, Larry?
I was on student services.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue in that capacity? I nominate Larry.
Second.
We have, I guess, what's being called as a nomination. That seems like a real one to me for.
Been there and done that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Legal counsel, Mr. Tyree.
My recommendation would be to enter into another contract with Easter Day and Hummel and Jeff Lee and be our representative.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Todd, I'd be happy to help you as your legislative liaison as well.
Great. Great.
No, Todd, were you saying that the legislature doesn't do anything? or
I wasn't
the
saying
liaison?
Then we also reported retirements.
And we had 2 retirements that came in after the last board meeting. A 4th grade teacher at Washington Elementary, Sue Jamreska. Sue has been a strong educator for Plymouth and Washington Elementary for many, many years. We hate to see her go. Also, Mary Beth Hunter, who was a Hall of Fame tennis coach, worked in the athletic office as the administrative assistant, assistant athletic director. I mean, she's just been a mainstay in that office. And so when I first came over, I sent it back and said I wasn't going to accept it. She sent it back again. So I did accept it the second time with reservation. So that would be the recommendation tonight, to accept those 2 retirements.
To get on the table, I'll make a motion that we approve the retirements of these 2 wonderful ladies.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the retirements. Comments or discussion?
Just want to thank Suzanne and Mary Beth for their dedication and contributions over the years. Super fine young ladies, and wish them all the best.
I agree. I worked with both, and I wish them both the very best.
We were lucky to have them.
I would concur with that as well. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I believe that's what we pulled. And I'm sorry, I need to make another request. Can we pull the QSCAD affidavit? Otherwise, I'm going to have to not vote, or because I need to, what's the word I'm searching for? Abstain from one of those affidavits. So can we pull that separately?
And I think it's actually labeled.
Excuse me?
I think it's labeled incorrectly. It
I
should
couldn't
be
hear.
refunding affidavit.
Which one?
QSCAB affidavit should be labeled refunding affidavit. I did not see that earlier, sorry.
So does Todd need to abstain? I guess that's.
It is still his,
Okay.
yes,
All right.
it still need to abstain.
Which one is it?
You said QSCAB affidavit. It technically is the refunding.
I knew it needed to be changed, but is it still under that?
It's still under that, yes,
Okay.
correct, I'm sorry.
Let's pull that out and deal with that separately. So we have, and I was going to point out that that's not being paid, the first one is not from QSCAB.
Correct.
So we have 2 affidavits to consider, one being funded or paid out of the QSCAB money, the other out of, I believe it's the Vision 2020 School Building Corp. And again, I am going to abstain since the firm I work for is one of the paid fees on this, but I won't entertain a motion to approve the affidavits.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I am going to abstain. Motion carries. Is there anything left on the consent agenda? I believe there is. I would now entertain a motion on the remaining items on the consent agenda.
So
We have motion and second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Now moving on, I believe we're ready for business transactions. Under 3.1, focus on learning, high school robotics program.
Yeah, we really felt like we needed to get back to having some demonstrations at board meetings on things that were taking place in school, after school. And while this is not a school program yet, we have 2 Plymouth High School sophomores who have been involved very successfully in a robotics program And then last year when we were doing some talking about our science department and how we could upgrade some of the things that we're doing, one of the things that we talked about favorably was getting involved in robotics. And so we have, I think we have what we need to get involved starting at about the 5th grade and working through high school. And so tonight, these two young men have qualified for the world competition, which will be held in California. Kennedy Schneiders and Josh Kuhn will present a little bit about the robotics, do a demonstration, and then we can have questions. Also, the gentleman that we hired beginning of the summer, middle of the summer, to work in Project Lead the Way and hopefully be a robotics coach. Mr. Rich Schieber is here, and he could answer some questions too. So, gentlemen, I think you have your families here. You might want to quickly have them stand up. Will we see the Kuhn family? There we go. Thank you for coming. And then the Schneiders family. I think they have some ties to Manchester College. Just have to make sure I point that out every chance I get. Gentlemen, turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Kennedy Schneiders, and
I'm Josh Kuhn.
And we're part of Team 5003 Vex Robotics competition.
And this is our robot, Trinity 2, that is qualified for Worlds.
So before we get into the details, first you have to understand what Vex Robotics competition is. And so each year, the company, Vex Robotics, they design and then put out a game to the community where students from all over the world have to design and build a robot to compete in that year's game. And so that is what Josh and I did throughout the summer for this 2012-2013 game, Vex Sack Attack.
And more about the game. This year's game features a 5-inch by 5-inch half-pound beanbag, which poses a serious problem with intaking it along with driving over them and getting around them. The goal, which is a trough that runs through a fill, which is 12 feet by 12 feet, is 18 inches high, and the overall goal of each round is to put the most sacks in the trough for your team, and they'll allow 2 minutes of flying time.
So this is a robot that Josh and I designed and built throughout the school year and the summer for the 2012-2013 game. And we estimate that we have spent close to 400 hours total designing and building this robot.
And so some of the features on Trinity 2, it includes 10 Vex 393 motors, which is the most allowed by the game. It has a holonomic X drive, which allows us to drive and strafe in virtually any direction. On the lift, it's a chain bar lift that features a 15-to-1 gear ratio with 4 Vex 393 motors. Up top, we have the intake, which is a high-speed intake. It has 2 Vex motors on it as well. All of this is on a solid aluminum chassis.
Included in our robot is a multitude of different sensors that allow for accuracy and programming on the field. It includes 4 optical quadrotor encoders which measure rotations of drive shafts. It also includes multiple potentiometers which allow us to detect the angle of a drive shaft on the robot. A liquid crystal display for debugging and autonomous routine selection. And the Cortex microcontroller which processes all of the information. It also features a pneumatic system which allows us to have actuating parts of the robot. and two 7.2 volt robot batteries to power it during driving.
So things that I've gained from this, so from joining the team, I gained a pretty good understanding in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because I really got to see how formulas and stuff can come alive from classes that I learned, like Algebra 2, Geometry, Pre-Cal, and Physics, and seeing how they apply to the real world and designing something using them and making it work using them really kind of boosted my interest in engineering and STEM.
So not only were we involved in things like science and math, but we had to learn a lot of things about computer science, which involved us teaching ourselves C programming language to program the robot for this year's autonomous routines. We also taught ourselves many other different things in science and mathematics to help better ourselves and the robot. But the competition itself really drew us in and helped us to gain an interest in STEM because of the excitement of it. And hopefully our new interest will help us to gain a job in the growing field of engineering later on.
Also, I'd like to mention two other classes that we used were Project Lead the Way, IED, which is Introduction to Engineering and Design, and POE, which is the Principles of Engineering, and that touched a lot more on the physical aspect. But I'd like to just talk about the community a little bit because they showed a lot of interest both in sponsoring us and congratulating us on our success. So we really appreciate that. But we really appreciate the excitement from both students at PHS, teachers, just different people in the community. It really motivates us to do the best that we can do in this and just enjoy it.
So in conclusion, the competition itself really draws people and students in because of the competition aspect, getting to compete against other robots. It's a lot of fun. And so it also helps to grow an interest in STEM for students in school. So not only that, but it helps the students to learn how to apply what they're learning in school and how that actually fits into different jobs in the outside world. And so also from what we've seen, there's a huge interest in the community in what we're doing. And so that is also a very good part of that for sponsorships and different funding and just excitement in the community. But we are hopeful that one day students in the Plymouth Community School Corporation will get the chance to join a robotics program like we had the opportunity to. And so we will now answer any questions.
Can you tweak your robot before the national competition? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process, actually. We continue to tweak the intake and the lift and different parts of it. Keep improving.
You have a name for this beast?
Yeah, Trinity 2.
I got two questions. One, what's your team name?
We're the Robo Ninjas.
The Robo Ninjas.
That's a good
You don't have
name.
t-shirts to
Yeah.
wear?
We do actually. And each bag is a point, and how many points have you gotten in a?
Each bag in the trough is worth 5 points. And at the competition that we went to in Jay County, we set the national record for the most points scored in one match.
How many teams do you guys compete against?
In that tournament, there were 48 teams total.
My goodness. How did you guys get the idea to do this?
I've been into kind of robotics since I was little, and I got a VEX kit when I was probably 10. And last year I competed by myself, and about halfway through the season, Josh joined in with me, and then we started the season together on it.
Cool.
How many involved in the national competition?
I believe there are 100 plus teams at the national competition.
And there's around 400 at Worlds. So.
Would it be appropriate to say knock their socks off?
That's really neat.
We have time for one more question.
Sure.
You can put the beanbags in. Any way to take the beanbag out of the truck?
Yeah, actually, you're pretty good at that at our last competitions. How we want to feel. Our intake serves as an outtake as well. We can take them out of the trough pretty much just as easily as we
Can
can.
Kennedy show us the reversal?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Usually this is bolted into the ground, so I'm just going to hold it so I don't have any accidents. And the score in the Jay County one, by the way, we won 315 to 6.
So when we drive up to the trough, we have two options. We can either take the bags that are in there and put them in our own intake, or we can just take them out of the trough. So we can pick them up out of there, and then go put them in our own bowl, or we can drive off and just take them right out of the
Well, good luck. When do you go?
It's from April 17th to the 20th.
Okay. Great.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for the demonstration. I think you probably given the board a really good indication of why we want to move in that direction for our students. And getting a program up and going is difficult sometimes, but when you've got champions there to help you get going, then I'm sure it'll be an easier transition to move to a new program. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
sure.
You don't want to stick around.
You
for
probably
the
don't
rest
think
of
so.
the meeting.
Get it out.
Parents, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you.
When you get that thing to start making coffee, come back.
Chances are, I'm going to be good.
You'll probably still do
Had absolutely no idea the bar we were going to set for the other schools as they come in to demonstrate some of the things they're doing. But I guarantee you they're up for to do that. But I think focus on learning is something that we can do at most meetings and give you a good idea of the things that we're involved in. All right.
I think we're ready then to move on to 3.2 for seeking permission to go out for renovations.
Yeah, I'm going to leave my seat, come around and do the beginning of this presentation. And then I will introduce Brian Bolander. I can't. You can do that. I'll introduce Brian Bolander and Dave Schoaf for some follow-up on the specific scope of the renovations. The first thing I'd like to do is look at the results of refinancing. So, if you remember, we were 4.5 and 4.6% on $26 million bonds, and when they sold the bonds, they went for 1.35 interest rate. So that was quite a change. That created a savings of $2.35 million. What that's going to do is over the next 7 years, as our representative from Umball said, that's going to be an average savings of $99,000 a year to the repayment schedule. It's also going to leave us with a construction fund of $1.7 million. So, you know, we've lowered the debt service dollars that we need to pay, and we've also, by doing this refinancing, instead of having to go out and seeking other bonds to do this work, we're able to do it with the construction fund. So, you know, our thanks to Kurt Pletcher and Umball for you know, being able to recognize that this is something that we can do, because I think you know, this is something that allows us to do more for our students without increasing our debt. Construction fund usage, what we're proposing, Lincoln Junior High, the renovation is going to be just about $500,000. And we'll talk about the scope of that here in a minute. At the high school, it'll be about $375,000. At Riverside, we're proposing about $125,000 renovation and somewhere around $350,000 then for loose equipment. And then the service center will be the last thing we do, and we'll have at least $400,000 left to do the work on the service center. So, and I'll explain why we're going to do the service center last. But the timetable that we're proposing, this is pretty much what we're going to do. The dates might change just a little bit, but not the board dates. Those won't change. January 8th, that's the day we're seeking permission for bids. March 5th, we will advertise the bids. March 22nd will be bid opening, and then the April 2nd board meeting, we will be awarding the bids. April 22nd, we will start the demolition at Lincoln Junior High. May 17th, we'll start the construction at Plymouth High School. And August 5th, we will finish the construction at Lincoln, and October 21st, finish the construction at Plymouth High School. So it's a very quick timetable on those two projects, but been working with the architects, and they feel like we can meet that time schedule. At Riverside, the scope of the project isn't nearly as extensive as you can see by the dollar amount, and so we're probably going to be doing that pretty much on our own. Tonight we are asking you to permission to seek actually quotes, because it's not a $150,000. It's under $150,000. And then the contractor tour on March 5th. We'll accept those quotes on March the 22nd and award those quotes on April the 2nd and start construction on June 10th. Complete construction on August 5th. And actually, we feel like we can wrap this up a little sooner, but it always looks easier before you start. So we want to give ourselves plenty of time. Plus, that'll still give us time to get ready for the start of school. Timetable for the service center. We're looking at, we'll be bringing in an agreement with in the next couple of meetings with ITAMCO as far as the purchase of those machines. But we'll be looking at the setting of those, preparing for the machines in the spring of 2013. And I think what the intent of that is going to be running electric above the tops of the machines, so the cords go up so they're not down on the floor to trip over. And probably we'll need to mill that floor to make sure that it's level, because those CNC machines have to be level in order to operate correctly. ITAMCO, as far as what we've been talking about in our agreement, they'll take care of setting the machines. That will be of no cost to us. In fall of 2013, we'll teach a class. We don't anticipate the numbers to be high that first, and neither does Ivy Tech. Ivy Tech is going to be awarding dual credit, and we haven't signed an agreement yet with Ivy Tech, but we talked to them on Monday, and they are going to be hiring the teacher to start with, because it's such a specialized area. And then we will be renting the teacher from them. They have a program where you can hire it. They call it renting a professor, so we'll rent a teacher from them. Fall of 2013, we're going to be looking at that service center throughout this time and coming up with the projects that we want to do in the service center, taking into consideration the amount of money that we have left. January of 2014, we'll be back here presenting those projects to the board. January 2014, we'll start right away with the renovation projects. And then tonight, we would hope to enter into a contract after tonight, if these are approved, with Barton Co. Vilma. I would bring that contract back to the board for approval in February. It would be for the renovations at Lincoln and Plymouth High School. And because of the scope of the work at Riverside, and right now, because our concepts just aren't real clear as to what we need to do, we'll have Dave Schoaf overseeing those projects as of now. We'll have to see in the service center what it is that we really need to do after teaching that class for a year. One of the things that I want to do is I want to see the level of noise and how far those have to be away from the alternative classrooms in there. And so hate to get into a project until I feel really good about where we'll locate those machines and stuff. So at this point, if we could have Brian Bolander from Barton Co. come up. He has a interactive demonstration of the two projects. The first project will be in the high school. It'll be in an older vocational area that's no longer used, and we will be creating additional classroom space. And the second project will be at Lincoln Junior High, and as I told you in Friday notes, in order to do that project, we're going to be moving the media center to another location and using the media center, the large space in the media center, to create those big double rooms that are needed. Brian?
Thank you, Tyree. Thank you, board. As Dan said, this is the existing auto shop area. We have the ag workshop to the west here, and the corridor that connects back to the rest of the building here. What we're proposing is fairly straightforward in here. If you're familiar with the space, there's a small conference room or small classroom over here, office and storage room. We're proposing to take those out. There's overhead doors on the south side, some openings on the north side. We're proposing to fill those in and divide the space really into 3 classrooms, here, here, and here, some storage space here, and then really just circulation space back to the hallway here. Trying to keep all the classrooms close to the same size and just close to your typical traditional classroom size. And this is that circulation space. There's not a lot going on in there. Drinking fountains, won't be exactly this configuration, but drinking fountains for the students to keep those nearby. That's fairly simple. Otherwise, a typical classroom, just under 900 square feet. There's a mechanical unit in the corner of each one. Some glass to the hallway. We've tried to, in each case, keep some natural light into each room, but still work with that existing concrete panel system that's on the outside of the building. There's some instructional wall, and otherwise kind of no frills educational spaces here. That's the overall plan again. The project at Lincoln Junior High School is really more in line than with the new tech program at the high school. We've tried to mirror some of the things here that we tried to accomplish there. Just as a general overview, this is the entire media center space that we're talking about taking over, including the stacks area. There's some offices and workroom here in the existing plan, and some more conference space and some offices back here and IT space in the existing plan. So replacing that with 2 larger classrooms. You can see the number of tables and chairs that we get in each one. The target is kind of for 50 students in each of those classrooms. Again, we have an internal circulation space that we're calling flexible space. There's room there for students to break out in smaller groups from the classroom and work on the project activities just in a more intimate setting, if you will. And then staff space at this west end. There's actually a ramp leading up to that. If you're familiar with that library, there are steps at this west end. We're trying to take advantage of that. That staff area kind of has a overlook onto the rest of that flex area. Just moving into a little more detail. Again, I think this takes us down into that classroom space. If you remember the new tech model that we tried to establish at the high school, there's multiple display surfaces for digital display. There's also a number of, I guess you could call them low-tech display. These are actually movable marker boards, though, so it's not the traditional fixed marker board. The students can take those off the wall, work with them in small groups, put their work back up, and present that way as well. We've also tried to get a little more natural light in here with these new window openings to the outside wall, and keep some transparency, again, back to the flex area. Just because of the overall shape, this classroom is a slightly different shape than the other one, but most of the features are the same. And again, just the flexibility in the way the students communicate with each other and put their work up, the natural light, the transparency, again, have all been things that we've tried to emphasize throughout. And then the staff area has the most unique shape, I guess, because of what we've had to deal with, but I think it's also a unique approach here in the fact that the staff have the conference area. If I kind of dip down in here, you can see from the flex area, again, transparency from the flex area to that workspace. Staff actually have their desks, at least in the way this furniture is set up right now. They're taking the same collaborative model into the staff area that we've set up for the students in the student area, but their desks are actually removed from their classroom. We also have the opportunity to add an entrance. If I go back to the overall plan here, zoom out just a little bit. The main entrance to the building, although it's not shown in detail, is over here. We have a kind of a sub-entrance into that staff area and an emergency exit then back out, just to welcome people into that new tech space and have kind of a presence even at the front door. I can take any questions if you have them. Not either.
The library would move across the cafeteria. Right now, there's an old shop area there that's not used, and there's a Project Lead the Way classroom, and we would use space in both of those to create a media center. Since we've gone one-to-one, you know, the student usage of the library has been cut down. There's virtually no research that's done in the library anymore. It's all done using various sites that Ben Weymouth has set up, search vehicles. So when we're talking about a media center space, and you know, I think 3 years ago we talked about this in our strategic planning that at some point the media centers, the need for the large space for them was going to diminish. The need for a media center would still be there, but it would not need to be nearly as big. And if we needed classroom space, then we would look to the media center as, and this is really the first time that's come into play, but you know, we did talk about the fact that would happen. And then the Project Lead the Way room would go down to across from the auditorium. Right now, that's where the Mandarin Chinese class is being taught, and she would move upstairs and share a classroom with the health teacher. She would be in it several periods a day, and the health teacher would be in it several periods a day. So.
Wasn't there a TV studio in this area too?
Now, the television studio will actually be, it is already next to, there was, but it was moved a couple of years ago, and it's down, it'll be next to the Project Lead the Way classroom, right across from the auditorium.
pretty nice if you get a chance to see it. Phil Scott got some volunteers to remodel it.
Any questions about where we're headed? We still have a few things to nail down with the staff. We've already taken some of them up to Steelcase to hear the research on the type of furniture and audio-visual that you use. We're planning on taking more staff members up there. I mean, it's a very, very valuable trip because they not only are able to talk to us about the research, but they're able to demonstrate it because they have labs set up where you can go and sit. And then this last trip that we made, we got to take a trip over to their headquarters next door, and they practice what they preach because those learning spaces that they researched, they're using it in their own headquarters. And so, you know, it's just a really eye-opening trip to take. It's just a couple hours from here, Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's easy to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you very much, Brian. Brian's been over here twice today. We really appreciate his work in preparing this and getting over here. Dave, can you talk about Riverside? Now, remember, before break, we were accepted. We're one of a kind. We have one academy, and it's New Tech 2 is what it's called, and they'll be coming to the board probably in February with a name for that academy. And they're going to function in two different buildings, but they're going to function using the same core values, the same culture. So it's going to be a challenge. But when New Tech made their visit, they were very impressed with our with what we'd done to prepare for that, the thought we put into it, and so we are one of 6 in the United States that's been accepted for a junior high program, and because in their mind 5th grade is elementary, we will be the only elementary New Tech in the United States, well, in the world. So it's kind of neat. Dave will be talking about ideas at Riverside, and I really I need to. This was challenging just because we have a 5th grade wing and a 6th grade wing, but New Tech wants us to work together. They want them to be together. So that was a real challenge, and Jenny really did a nice job of thinking out of the box to come up with an idea that she sold to the staff and sold to us, and Dave's been able to put some concepts on paper. Dave, take it away.
Yeah, in this slide, I would like to provide a color-coded schedule showing the floor plan of Riverside and identifying the various areas of improvement. And what we're trying to do is kind of improve our whole footprint here in the transition when we went from elementary school to an intermediate building and address a few other things at the same time here. But our blue area on the right end of the screen is what we were proposing for our music. It's 2,574 square feet. That is the proposed space for our music department. And then the yellow space where 114 and 115 is, that is about 1,700 square feet, and that is the proposed location for our media center. We came up with a shelving layout that would accommodate about 90% of our current inventory that we have at Riverside right now, by condensing a little bit. And the red space is a 900-foot faculty work station, centralizing it between the 5th grade PBL and 6th grade PBL. The purple area is almost 3,800 square feet, and that consists of 2 single classes and a double occupancy 5th grade PBL instructional space. And Let's see, our green area, the final space, is around 3,930 square feet, and that is our 6th grade PBL instructional space. And we tried to keep our 6th grade wing, our 5th grade wing, but merge and combine, and with Jenny helping, this was kind of the merging point was kind of where that media center was. I'd be glad to answer any
You got a nice
questions.
slide, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Next slide. Okay. In this drawing, I have shown a proposed floor plan for the 6th grade PBL area, and this is focusing primarily on the existing media center. We have eliminated a computer lab that was existing that is underutilized with our one-to-one computer program right now. And let's see, we took out a couple of non-supporting walls. We do have one round column that supports the roof there that we're going to have to work around. But trying to get balance and create the kind of spaces that she needed for teaching this, we are going to have to remove a few non-supporting walls and just do some light renovation work to this space. Let's see. That's pretty much the scope of what we're looking to do at Riverside. In the other areas, it's just removing a couple of non-supporting walls and a few cosmetic improvements to put it back in place. Do you have any other questions on what we're looking at for Riverside? So I guess moving on to the next slide here, we have, I've shown an example of a precision manufacturing lab, and this is the lab that Ivy Tech operates in Warsaw. This is a sample of the type of spaces that could be created in our service center building. We plan to upgrade electrical service upgrades, ventilation, and lighting upgrades to create this functional space for instruction. And I also, in our next slide, I have a proposed floor plan for this space, showing the areas of improvement of the manufacturing lab and the ISS room, the alternative school, and some various ADA restroom improvements that we have to make to the building. The building is mostly untouched since construction in 1969 and would benefit from some energy-saving improvements such as new lighting and ventilation systems. And that's pretty much the scope of things that I was looking at working on.
So then over the next year, that will become more formal and we'll be able to give you, a priority of what we need to do in that space. But right now, the only thing we're going to have to do in that space is mill the floor, and I think ITEMCO is going to come in and under the supervision of Dave, will install those electric machines. We already have 220 in there, so we don't have to do that part.
That's pretty much the scope of what we're doing. Is there any questions?
Just want to be an architect, didn't you?
It's hard to follow Brian.
I can follow the robot.
Good point.
There you go.
I have a question. At any point in time, if we want to do a walkthrough through the building to where we can see, I mean, I think it's great that you've got the visuals, but if we can physically see it, what you're planning on doing as far as knocking out walls and stuff like that.
Let me know and I'll take you around.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Dave. Sounds good.
Thank you.
So right now, we need permission to set this in motion, which means we need to start preparing to seek bids on high school and then junior high and quotes at Riverside.
I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second to seek bids and quotations for renovations. Any further discussion?
I just comment, I think it's outstanding that the money that we've been able to save on the interest to be able to put this thing in motion that we've been working on for 2 or 3 years to see if it become reality. I think that's fantastic because it's definitely going to benefit our students.
Anything else? Pretty exciting stuff. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I want to thank the staff for coming.
Yes. Make it happen.
If you were a Notre Dame fan, you were probably up late last night, so if you want to leave, don't let us stop you. Go ahead.
Notre Dame fans went to bed pretty early.
Not true Notre Dame fans.
Thank you.
I stayed for the post-game.
Sorry.
You can stay if you want to go, you don't have to go.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
See you in 2 weeks.
Item 3.3, I think we're ready to move on. Conflict of interest statements. Who wants this one?
I think the conflict of interest statements have been put, everybody's had an opportunity to sign them.
I have the boards to sign tonight.
The board will have the opportunity to sign them tonight. Conflict of interest statements are signed anytime that, for instance, because my wife is a teacher at Plymouth Schools, I sign one. Todd works at Unball, and we do some work with them. Todd will sign one, so that's the rationale for it. It's by statute that we have to sign those. Basically, what it means is we're making it public that there is possibly a conflict of interest. And we don't have to vote on that, so we can move on.
Item 3.4, consider a snow makeup day for January 21st.
Yes, unfortunately, the area schools lost the day to fog right before Thanksgiving vacation, and so we have several snow makeup days in the schedule. And in the past, we have simply taken them in order, and the first one is January 21st. So I would recommend that be in school on that Monday.
So moved.
Second.
Have motion and second, discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing the weather forecast, we may have some fog this week too. Stay tuned, guys. Item 3.5, permission to seek contract with security consultant.
Yeah, what I'm asking you for permission tonight to do is, I've got the name of 4 security consultants. I would like to spend some time talking with each one of those agencies. 3 of them are agencies, one of them is an individual. Talk to them about doing a study of our certified safety plan that we have filed with the state, and then come to the school and do an on-site safety tour of each of our buildings, write an assessment and make suggestions as far as what we could do to improve the safety of Plymouth Community Schools. I want to make sure that we approach this logically. I don't want to make a bunch of changes without having some validity to the need for those changes. And the best way to do that is to get some outside consultation. So what I would suggest, or what I would propose, is if you'd give me permission to go out and seek some prices on what that would cost, and then I will come back in the February board meeting and make that report and get permission to either go with one of them or I'll have some kind of a recommendation at that point.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Have motion and second for Mr. Tyree to seek contract or contact with the security consultant. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 3.6, approve temporary warrants.
Yes, earlier last board meeting, you gave me permission to advertise for the temporary warrants from Indiana Bond Bank, and they have come back with some estimates for capital projects and transportation. They're low amounts, $110,000 in capital projects. We would be showing a short cash flow early on in the year, and transportation, $318,700. Those are the only two funds that we would be seeking permission for you to approve these. So moved.
Have motion and second to approve temporary warrants. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 3.7, consider classified conditions and pay increases.
We have changed the format. Actually, Sandy did a lot of work on this to condense the information. There was a lot of repeated information for each classification where it would pertain to all classifications, so it is a condensed version. And the other thing that we did was, in line with what we've had to do with the teachers, certified staff, and the administrators, we have we've done ranges, base ranges, and it will no longer be based on years of experience. Just because you have another year, you do not automatically get a raise. They will be more in line with performance evaluations. And what we're also proposing is for any employee that has worked at least 120 days, from January 1st of 2012 to December, would receive, for 12-month employees, 50 cent per hour raise, and 9-month employees, a 40 cent per hour raise. And this is also in line with what teachers had received when we negotiated.
There are other raises too, Candy, that are not, that wouldn't be dollar an hour raises.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Substitutes, bus drivers.
Bus drivers.
You know, basically, everyone, we haven't had a raise for a couple of years, so everyone did get a raise.
Get on the table, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have motion and second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, Mr. Tyrese, superintendent remarks.
Yeah, this will be a little different tonight. First of all, I'd like to report that as of tonight, things that we had always put on board docs for board members only, anything that didn't have personnel information in it or student information in it is public now. We had brought that to you back in, I think, the November meeting. As far as that was something that we wanted to continue to work on our transparency. You know, I want to make sure you know as we go through this, these are things that are out there now. So presentations that are done, the payments of things, those are all out there. We've been advised that, you know, eventually that's going to come to Indiana, that we're going to do that anyway, and so might as well get on board right away. So we have. Also, our strategic planning dates, we're going to be holding 3 focus groups, one with teachers, one with parents, and one with members from business and industry. And those dates for parents, I need to choose one. I'll put this down now. I'll read these now, and then I'll send them out in an email tomorrow. And if you have problems with any of them, you can tell me. I don't have the expectation that all 5 of you are going to be at all the focus groups, but if you can, that's great. If you are going to be at them, and we have more than 2 here, then we'll need to advertise. So we just need to know that. But you know, if you can't be at all of them, we're going to take notes, and you'll be able to read through the things that we got from people. So in January, the dates for the teachers would be the 23rd, the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th. parents would be in February, either the 11th, the 20th, or the 21st. In March, the business and industry do the 7th, the 12th, the 18th, and the 20th. Like I said, I will send those out tomorrow so you can have them and just, look at those and shoot me an email. This is terrible. I'm going to be someplace absolutely can't be there, and I want to be there.
Are these evening meetings?
These are evening meetings, probably 6:30 at night, and I would expect 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Keep it fairly short, but keep it, so we're getting information from the people who can attend. Also sent this letter out today, and instead of going through the core values, because I think there's something in this letter that would be a part of every one of our core values. Parents and guardians, it's been 3 weeks since the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School, and the pain felt by parents around the country is still evident. During this time, the superintendents and the Marshall County Sheriff's Department have taken a hard look at safety in our home schools. The purpose of this correspondence is to let parents who have students in the Plymouth School Corporation, the staff of the Plymouth School Corporation, and other stakeholders know the short and long-term plans for our school corporation. The first part of the short-term plan is for the Plymouth Community School Corporation Safety Committee to closely examine the certified safety plan filed with the state of Indiana. Indiana is the only state in the country that requires each school to have a trained safety specialist. Currently, Plymouth Community Schools has 1 safety specialist, and in a couple of months we will have 3. These 3 safety specialists, along with our law enforcement, the fire department, and emergency management, will look at each part of the plan to ensure that it is being followed with fidelity. Secondly, on Tuesday, January 8th tonight, I will ask the school board trustees permission to hire an outside safety consultant to go do a thorough assessment of Plymouth's plan. Final part of the short-term plan will be to do an internal examination of the board's policies and best practices to ensure that they are consistent with state and federal law. The long-term plan will be to implement a well-thought-out series of changes to the Plymouth Community School Corporation's master plan. The following 4 will largely determine those major changes. Areas of concern identified in the safety plan, areas of concern identified by the outside safety consultant, corrections to the policy that are not in alignment with state and federal laws, and new practices set into law by this year's state and federal legislators. During the next couple of weeks, you will probably see a few changes as we determine parts of the safety plan that have not been followed with fidelity. Please have patience with us as we make our firm commitment to keep our students safe while they are at school. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to communicate with me or your student's principal. Sincerely, Daniel Tyree. That went out today at 4 o'clock, and so I'll tell you that we have been very busy, and that safety committee will meet Friday at 8:30 with the law enforcement agencies and fire to start taking a look at that plan. Our next board meeting then would be
February 5th.
February 5th. And we will have a focus group meeting before that, but that's date is yet to be determined. That's all I have.
Any questions for me? Hearing none, any, the audience has been, questions, comments?
I would like to take this time. I'm Angie Mills, principal at Jefferson. I know many of you. I know there's Mr. Cook is a new face for me. I just wanted to take this time to personally thank you, Dan, and the central office for providing dedication to provide a pay raise for our non-certified and our hourly staff. They help provide a safe environment for our students. They dedicated a lot of time, and I just appreciate with the economic and financial times right now that you've made that dedication. So I just wanted to personally thank you.
Any other comments?
I'm having trouble finding a creative way to tie this into an agenda, but I did ask Mr. Johnson to take pictures of board members afterwards.
I don't see that as part of the agenda.
Denied. wouldn't mind doing that periodically throughout the year. We just use headshots and. I had
Maybe you
Yeah.
can borrow that time now.
That picture that was of me in the paper was shortly after my hair
Is
was.
he the only one you told? He's the only one
Yeah.
who worked?
I don't think that's fair.
No,
Huh?
I don't think it's fair that we weren't told.
I won't be wearing ties at the other meetings. This was just for the swearing in.
Swearing in.
For you, Carol, okay.
Thank you very much.
Make it snappy.
Pardon
Any
me.
other comments? 6.1, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. I think we have another one real quick.